Okay, let's dive into this. We all think we know the story of Icarus, right? It's basically the ultimate I told you so. A simple warning. Don't get cocky, don't fly too close to the sun. But what if that whole lesson was wrong? What if we've been misreading the story this entire time?
Right. So this is where the story usually just stops. The kid who didn't listen is gone, the disruption is over, and boom, the world can go back to its normal, cautious, predictable rhythm. Order is restored. The lesson seems pretty clear. Stay low, play it safe.
And this is where things get really interesting, because in this retelling, the story didn't end with the splash. What happens next, down there under the waves, suggests that the story we've all been told might be a deliberate misreading. A story meant to keep us safe, sure, but maybe also to keep us small.
To really get this, we've got to flip the whole script on that central event. We need to stop looking at the fall as some kind of tragic accident and start seeing it as something way more profound. Think of it as the successful completion of an experiment. And you can see the two perspectives right here. On one side, you have what the world saw, a cautionary tale, a tragedy. But on the other side, it was something else completely. It was the necessary death of the obedient son. You see, the fall wasn't a tragedy. It was a stream of pure data. The heat, the altitude, the exact breaking point of the old structure. And this is so key. We're not talking about a person drowning here. We're talking about a persona. The self that had to die was that compliant, fearful part of him. You know, the careful prisoner who just accepted his father's warnings, not as advice, but as these unbreakable laws of the universe. This shift in focus, man, it's everything. When this new Icarus comes to, down in the depths, he's not panicked about survival. His very first question is about analysis. What did I just learn? What did that heat, that height, that moment of total failure actually reveal about my own limits and the world's? This, right here, is the birth of a sovereign individual. Okay, so once he has this new understanding, well, it leads him somewhere pretty radical. Armed with the raw data from his own destruction, he now completely rejects the one thing the world values most, safety. And check out how this version redefines moderation. It's not a virtue anymore. It's a drought disguised as wisdom. It's this comfortable prison we build for ourselves out of a fear of burning up or falling down. It's the life of the last man, the person who never takes a risk, so he lasts forever, but he never truly lives. He becomes nothing. So now he's at a crossroads, right? He can go back to the middle way, this path of just surviving, a life that just repeats itself day after day. Or he can choose the twin path, a path where climbing high and falling apart are two sides of the same coin, where danger isn't something to avoid, it's proof that you're actually alive. The goal isn't just to last, it's to achieve ecstatic self-realization. So you might be wondering, how do you even walk a path like that? It's not by using borrowed wings or following someone else's rules. No. According to this parable, you have to become an alchemist of your own soul. It's this wild process, almost like a controlled self-destruction. Instead of running from the fire, you walk right into it. You let it melt down all your old certainties, your fears, your pride. And from that molten mess, you refine what's left into something new. Not pure, but gold. Dense, sovereign, and completely unbreakable. You don't need borrowed wings anymore because now you generate your own motion from within. And this is the end result of that whole process. It's a total shift in his relationship to the world. He's not a reactive prisoner running from a labyrinth anymore. He's become a proactive creator, someone who defines the very reality he exists in. He is shaping his own sky. Okay, so that's what happened to Icarus. But what about the world he left behind? What's the impact of this kind of radical, individual transformation on that stagnant, cautious earth that just watched him fall? Well, from the outside, it just looks like a disaster. A big, ugly scar on the landscape. The spot where that foolish boy fell is now just burnt, barren ground. And for all those cautious observers, this is just more proof that they were right all along. And of course it would. The world, which is so comfortable in its own drought and totally committed to that middle way, can only see this as a catastrophic failure. It confirms everything they believe, so they label it a disaster and go right back to their safe, predictable, unchanging lives. But here's what they didn't see, what was happening just beneath the surface. That fire, that so-called disaster, did something the gentle, moderate sun never could. Its incredible heat cracked open seeds that had been dormant for ages. And then rain followed the fire, and in that fertile ash, new roots began to take hold. So get this, the very thing everyone called a failure, that individual's spectacular wipeout, was actually the catalyst for the whole world's renewal. The act they condemned as total madness was the exact lightning strike the world needed to finally break its long drought. And that, right there, is the new moral of the story. The fall of Icarus isn't a lesson about obedience, it's proof. Proof that real growth, that true becoming, is never ever safe. It demands that you risk everything, that you embrace the fire, and that you find the courage to let that old, careful, obedient version of yourself die. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. The lightning bolt has to look like a failure to the people who are stuck in the drought. It has to burn out, but its sacrifice is what allows the world to finally take a breath again. Which kind of brings it all back to us, doesn't it? What comfortable drought are we living in? And what part of ourselves has to perish so that we, and maybe the world around us, can finally start to live?